Well, good evening and welcome, and Happy New Year, first of all. This is my first day back since the new year, and welcome to the show. It is Monday, January 6, 2014. I didn't muff it that time. I said it as the right year. But, yeah, like I said, this is my first day back. I had to take some personal time. I had, the shared parenting agreement with my teenage son, who's not very shared. So that time is very valuable to me, and so I decided to take a little time off and spend it with him and visiting with very, very close friends in Arizona, where I lived for a number of years, and I really enjoyed the sunshine. Up here in Oregon, it's cold and gray, and I see why people go to Arizona for the winter. Now, the summer, I don't understand why they stick around, but the winter, I understand perfectly now because it's just so pleasant. Anyway, we're lucky tonight to be joined by a man who's become a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who lives right up the road in Grants Pass, and is just really a very, very nice man. And not only that, he's probably forgotten more stuff than I'll ever know. Richard, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Michael, for having me. It was nice playing with you this afternoon with Carrie.
Yeah, it was. We did a 2-hour, what do you call that? Sort of a live stream, something or another on the radio?
She was interviewing Keshe, and then we were there to give her support because she didn't have the technical background to, be able to actually be credible. The problem is, it's difficult sometimes to get length, girth, and width on someone. In witchcraft, they call that taking someone's measure. You go to the shoulder, tie a knot. That's the belt you wear, and that's your measure in witchcraft. And I have to tell you, I am disappointed with what's out in the radio nowadays. It's credibility-wise, and literally with something to say. It's kind of depressing, especially in light of what all is going on right now.
Well, let's talk about this for a moment, because one of the problems that all of us have, you, me, the listeners, people who aren't listeners, who watch this regular mainstream TV, is trying to discern what's real and what's not real. And it's a challenge. It truly is. And, one thing that I'll ask people to do, and I think is really a good measure, and that is to rely on your own gut. Everyone has an intuition. Some people are more sensitive to it than others, but everyone has an intuition where you can meet somebody and you like them the first minute you meet them, that's a good person, or they meet somebody and makes their skin crawl. So listen to your intuition. And I hate to say this because, I come from a technical background and things, and it's all about the data, but sometimes there's more than the data. And we all have to learn how to discern what's true and what's not, what's real and what's not. And so it's all developing that personal sense of discernment and being able to look for those subtle clues that tell you if something is true or if it's false.
Well, I was asked to write a scare everybody out of their pants article on Fukushima for Nexus. And they wanted me to add a nice spin to it at the end. And I began this article 3 different times over the last 2 weeks and get stopped in my tracks because every time I start the article, some weird thing comes out next on Fukushima and how bad it's becoming. And the problem is that nobody's telling the truth. And you can't get valid information out of TEPCO. I've got some links I'll give to you, Michael, that will demonstrate exactly when the last time TEPCO gave a full disclosure on what was happening with Reactor 3. Turner Broadcast came out a couple days ago with this big doom and gloom, gas bubble, radioactive cloud headed for the West Coast. So much of that is scare tactic and disinformation. Right now, what happened in 2011 was a world event that was never discussed correctly. And then all the next 2 years of lead up are the comedy of errors behind that cover-up. Just recently, Japan passed a gag order for whistleblowers that would come out to tell the truth on what's going on, are now subject to prison. And you have to ask why is going on. Now, I'm going to say some things that I've made some discoveries on. First and foremost, after I spoke to General Electric, you know, the amount of spent plutonium rods at Fukushima would suggest they were stockpiling weapons-grade plutonium for a weapon. And that somebody, who knows what, caused an accident. I don't think that's true. You know, the coincidences of the coronal mass ejection and the tsunami, it couldn't have been planned that accurately. So in my book, I believe that the accident itself was natural, but that some software might have been exposed to the TEPCO computers so that they didn't know if there was a meltdown going on, because it all said all systems are good.
Well, you know, you've just touched on something, because we know that the CIA and Israel Israel, let me rephrase it. Israel deployed the Sustex virus against the Iranians, trying to disrupt their nuclear program.
I heard about that one, where there was some software trying to screw up their computers and it didn't work, or it wasn't as effective as they were hoping. TEPCO is a little bit different in that Japan had bought those islands from Russia in that disputed zone up in the Kamchatka, and China and Japan have never gotten along. And as far as I remember, Japan's supposed to have some kind of thing after World War II where they will never form an army again. And yet, here we are. And I don't get it all.
Well, Richard, hang on a second, because there has been debate within the Japanese parliament as to rewrite their constitution to allow them to form an army, that has been that's been under discussion. I would have to follow up and see if it ever got passed or not. But that, I remember 2-3 years ago there was that discussion, and I've had other guests on here telling me that Japan has had a secret nuclear weapons program now for over 20 years.
There's got to be, look, there should not have been that many spent plutonium rods, and the actual reactor 3 in 2011, when it exploded, the color of the smoke, which is different than the smoke today. Suspicious Observer had a very nice web note this morning regarding the fake, disclosures that are covering the real seriousness of what's going on, and everybody's afraid. And if you will notice, that fear is used in marketing, and they're pulling in with coronal mass ejections that affect your brain chemistry. It's a type of manipulation of the public, which we call counterintelligence, which means lying by omission. I tell you the truth, but only the part that leads you down that line, not the possibility of other doors behind door number 2 and 3. Now, with all of that, it's scary because this is a world event, and I'm seeing all kinds of weirdness coming out of the woodwork with claims of how we're going to cure everything, with Hutchinson effect or whatever, plasma physics. I have to say something here. Something about, there was in Cassidy's crib, the place where everybody hangs out and talks while we're doing our work, lecturing. They were talking about aliens, EDs and ETs and, the soup. Got to remove the bay leaf. So with that said, imagination is reality, which means that there seems to be some kind of efforts being made to push man toward certain darker paths than he might otherwise pursue. Have you noticed how there's no spirituality being discussed?
Oh, absolutely. That's something that jumps off the page at you. It's one of those things where the silence is deafening. It's so loud.
We've got a problem here, you know, and right now it's 3 milliseconds to midnight, and we've already found pieces of plutonium and that came from Fukushima in 2011 in Colorado and Arizona. It's happened. That means that everybody has been nuked already. It isn't that you can go tape your windows quick and, you know, get your water and save it and go down into the bunker.
Well, let me point something out just so people know about how toxic plutonium is. You can have less than a milligram of plutonium if you inhale it, if you ingest it somehow. It will stay in your system. And wherever it goes, wherever your circulatory system takes it, whatever organs it goes into, wherever it moves about, it will destroy everything within range of it. It's constantly emitting. It will kill you. It's going to be a slow and painful death.
Well, now, you know, there's another interesting thing. It's interesting what's growing now in Chernobyl, and now they found it at Fukushima. It is a form of black slime mold, probably from galactic center. There's your EDs. Now, with that said, you know, living in a hostile environment like that is like a bacterium that can live down a lava tube. Life will be found in almost anything. And
well, Richard, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I think that we're going to discover, if we're ever able to fully get off this rock and actually explore this great universe out there that's around us, I think that people are going to find that this universe doesn't have isolated pockets of life, but that the entire universe is teeming with life.
Well, what do you think about critical water, the product that's coming out of the sun under high temperature pressure that creates what's called a new form of water called critical water? They're using it by astronauts up in the outer space right now. And I have to tell you, there's something else going on with the concept of life and its relationship to water, because they're finding water everywhere. And there's actually, newsflash, more water on Mars than there is on Earth. And Mars is a smaller planet. How does that work?
Well, everything we've been told about Mars is that it's barren, it's parched.
Oh, no. They knew in 1964.
We've been told this. And then they're keeping up.
No. We knew since 1964 there was water on Mars. And when Curiosity was there, it actually confirmed the actual volumetric of it. And the way I did it on my old website, I had a picture of the Earth, a picture of the moon right next to it, brought in a volumetric circle of the amount of water on Earth. Then I brought in a fourth ball of how much is on water. It's all on Mars. It's all underground. And I have to ask, what's the asteroid belt? And Europa, now they're discovering that Europa may have liquid water.
Yes, under the ice.
That's just like in the movies, the Europa you report. Now, there's sci-fi out there that masks. That's why you listen with your gut, like you said, because when you hear the truth or you get a sense of it. Now, I'm going to tell you something very interesting. There is a part in the brain called the Wernicke correction. It's near the reticular activating center. It's a very little special little part of the brain. And what they have discovered is the so-called Mars Project, where when people are taken down into hypnosis cross-culturally, this means Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, European, whatever, we all have a same memory of somehow working on Mars for the American government. Now, how does that work? That's what we call the collective unconscious. There's like a racial group format that is developed in man, what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. This is the length, girth, and width of life species Homo sapien, or actually more specifically Homo sapiens sapiens. And in fact, there are a series of different kinds of Homo sapiens now that they're discovering, because in fact there are secondary, third, and now 4 codes in the DNA that they've discovered. And what that suggests to someone like me is that the reason we are considered God's favored over angels and demons is that there is a gene in this little experiment that they're doing out here that has to do with cooperation. Everything that merges with it becomes part of it, like Homo neanderthal and Nephilim or whatever. Now, I'm speaking in metaphor, but there is a part of us that can change this movie. And that is what has made us God-favored, because time isn't real. Now, I can prove that as a physicist, which means there's an article out in Scientific American that says, oh, we have racial memory. We can, like a trauma that happened to your great-grandfather, you remember it. And they did a study and proved that. Isn't that interesting? Wonder what that means. There's your past life metaphor right out of the gate. And when you talk about a priori and a posteriori knowledge bases, now you realize it's going to take, Mike, what you and I were talking about while they were all rambling on this thing. We were texting back and forth, and we said to each other, the only way this is going to change is that everybody gets involved and they turn the switch off. That's how it's going to work.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because
I had a big pause.
One of the things we have to discuss, and one of the things we have to motivate people is, let's look at this whole Fukushima situation. And granted, there's a lot of disinformation out there, and there's a lot of what I call fear porn. That's a term that's used, that
exactly.
It's just meant to incite fear and to keep people in a state of anxiety perpetually.
Well, it works. They are able to manipulate markets. That's how the stock exchange.
It works too well. But let's look at this. What can we proactively do to stop that fear? What can we do to reduce that anxiety?
Well, that's Castaneda.
One of the things we can do, as far as the nuclear question goes, like you said, turn off the switch.
That's the first thing that has.
Let's turn them all off, because there's never been a more toxic or dangerous way of creating energy, and it's not cost effective. In fact, it's probably the most expensive energy ever.
So the bulletin board was rambling about, ETs trying to terraform the Earth. And the way I would respond to something like that is, that's probably true. Because imagination is reality. And we are creating this schism of relationship with self. Now, man has always had an Armageddon concept in his worldview. That means it's a given that we're on the edge between life and death. That's the survival coefficient thing going on where, whether it's the Carrington effect, CMEs, the grid, whatever, doomsday. It's part of the mythology of man. Now, we can change that mythology one person at a time. And it's really interesting. It's as if aliens require our permission to go dark. And what they're doing is trying to manipulate us to do it to ourselves. And we have an opportunity right now to actually evolve, move to the next level of awareness on this and our relationship to the whole thing. That's why it's going to take every single person. It's like there isn't any one person on this earth that's more important than another one. Every single person here has got to do what they're here to do. And if they don't, no problem. Time's not real. You just get to come back and do it again until you get it right.
Well, that's the issue right there, is come back. And next time you get to come back as a slug.
That's the way I always thought it was going to work.
So the point is here, I just got an email from a listener, says he thinks you're great, but he wanted me to ask you a question as to what is the bigger picture here? What is really going on, and how do you perceive that bigger picture?
The non-local mind, the idea that you have, every single one of you, what's the right thing to do. And it's different for each of us, which means from one perspective, can't possibly understand why that person could do that because that's against your values. That's not the issue. Every single person has something to do. And until we get on it and do it, we're going to sit in this stew and simmer.
Okay, well, folks, I hear the music coming up for the break. We'll be right back in a couple minutes. More with Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Be right with you. Stick around. Be right back.
Ask the guy why you so fly. He said, funky coma dad.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
There's a man who leads a life of danger. To everyone he meets, he stays a stranger. With every move he makes, another chance he takes, odds are he won't live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name.
Well, good evening and welcome back. This is Mike Harris on rinseradio.com, and today is Monday, January 6, 2014. Almost misspoke. Gave the wrong year. It's natural. The first 2 weeks you're allowed to do that. After that, all bets are off. But my guest tonight is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Rick, welcome back. And while we were on the break, I got another email from a listener that says he's right. 2/3 of the Earth's energetic matter has already changed its angle of rotation of particle spin to aurora Earth. It really is a case of getting the mass consciousness to change, and our reality will change like magic. Hard to explain, but the physics of it is explained in great detail in Ashiana's work. She's not your usual New Age bimbo, I promise. So anyway, any comments?
Well, of course, collective unconscious and internal landscape. That's where the war is being fought right now. And man has choices. And bottom line is you either get proactive right now or it's awful and you get to come back and do it again until you do. That's how it's going to work.
Well, what should people be doing? What proactive steps can people be taking in order to prepare and to not have to come back? What's the secret sauce?
The idea of the importance of meditation and going internal and having internal dialogue with your higher self, that's what it's about. And it's different for everyone. Everybody has a different way of doing it. And that's why most of the Eastern religions discourage you talking about interplane experiences. They don't want to, basically contaminate your values in terms of how you're experiencing it. Everybody's different. Ira Progoff would suggest you start with a journal. You do diary work or journal work. You start keeping a dialogue going with yourself during the day where you make notes on important emails. I call this my magical memory or my magical diary. I keep a log each day. You've seen a couple of them. And, of the links and what happens is, a pattern starts to emerge where a language is created in terms of, oh yeah, I know what that means. That's how it works. I see there's some stuff coming in.
Oh, no, I'm just typing to the producer.
Oh,
they've been doing some upgrades to their studio today, and so he first of all, the regular producer's out sick with the flu, so this is his boss Todd who's coming in.
Yeah,
and
that's flu. Anything.
And so I'm just kibitzing with him back and forth. It's nothing for the show, but just the background chatter. Me trying to give words of encouragement to those who make this show possible. And,
I would like to see a Green Lantern on your forehead there with that picture of you with that square jaw. That's what I'm talking about. Man.
A Green Lantern, huh?
Yeah, there we go. We're going to coin the League of Concerned Scientists. There we are.
There you go, the League of Concerned Scientists. Well, I've always been a fan. Green Lantern was one of my favorite comic books when I was a kid. I liked him.
Got that comic book look if you were to add it in some color and have an artist with a little blog out there. Holy Bolly popcorn Batman, what's going on?
Yeah, put a few more muscles on me and stuff.
Oh, no, you look pretty good,
Well, it's funny. I try to work out every day. I get to the gym or I go to karate, jiu-jitsu, or do something. I
like kicking children myself. That's what I do, yeah.
But, it's kind of funny, but, right now I'm right at about 195 to 198 pounds. And, for my height, that's 6 foot, I'm fit for a man my age.
Yeah. Got lots of, Indians out there hunting you too, for your scalp.
Yeah. Well, as my hair thins as I get older, there's not going to be much scalp to hunt.
I'm glad you're back home safe.
Well, me too, but I had a great time visiting with friends in Arizona, and like I said, the weather, the sunshine down there was just superb.
Yeah, but the weather is so weird now, and it's like actually getting weirder. And I don't know what it means. I know that it's related to the chemtrails. They have a new nanoboron, not boron, what is it? That's barium oxide. They have a nano version of that now, which means it can absorb faster ice crystals out of the air in the upper atmosphere. And that's probably why we have a drop like we have. Right now, I've never seen the Rogue River as low as it is. At this time, in 97 and 98, it was flooding right under the bridge, less than 1 foot under the bridge going across the road, either one of those bridges. That's where it was in 97. Look where it is today.
Well, my first winter in Oregon was January, I think, of 2010.
Oh, okay. You're a new.
Yeah, I'm new up here, and I'll tell you, the river was still 5 times what it is right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. In 98, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, that's when it usually happens here, it was just under the bridge where the road is. The bridges were closed. The river was going through there that high. It was not where I am, but across the river where the trailer park is was underwater. And that was in 97 and 98. And here we are with chemtrails going full tilt in the last few days. And we have had only 16 inches of rain instead of our normal 42 at this moment. And there is absolutely no snow in the mountains. How does that work?
Well, like you said, they're drying the atmosphere before it can start and form.
Why? And that, by the way, that barium oxide is getting into the food chain.
Oh, it's already in the food chain. It's already there.
I'm going to tell anybody that has a Geiger counter, I think what would be a very cool thing is that the next time it rains, you measure the radioactivity of the rainwater and give that information to Mike Harris. I believe it will surprise everybody.
Well, I'll go ahead and second that motion. If anybody has a Geiger counter out there, and the next time you experience rain, please, if you can take measurements, take them, send me the data, and I'll share it with Richard, and we'll come back and do a follow-up on this.
Because you wanted to know preparation. The first thing you do is you do not, now with what's going on with Fukushima, want to be out in the rain. The snow that we had last month was radioactive. It was 5 times higher than the ground itself. That put it to Radcon 3, and that's why we had all those alerts last month when it was snowing. That's how it works. It's going to be a brave new day, just like in the movies, where your whole concept of hygiene changes. Like learning that there's such a thing as bacteria, and you have black plague, and you need to wash your hands, that kind of thing. Well, there's going to be a whole new awareness forced on you for decontamination, where you keep your inner rooms like clean room standards, and you leave everything that you wore outside out for decontamination, where you take a shower before you go into your house. Your foods, where they came from, off which gardens, how you're using a greenhouse to protect the particulate from falling on the plants themselves. It's a brave new world, the way we're going to live.
Well, I used to be in the semiconductor industry. I've built a few clean rooms in my time. And once you understand the fundamental concepts of HEPA filtration and maintaining positive pressure and building airlocks into things, it's not that tough to do. All right, well, here's our break. We'll be right back. More with Dr. Richard Allen Miller after this short break. Stick with us, folks.
Scientists in England have succeeded in stabilizing the time-honored substance in garlic that destroys harmful bacteria, viruses, molds, yeast, and fungus. This all-natural microbe killer is called Allicin C, and it's now available to you in 100% vegetarian capsules only on the New Earth page at rense.com. This powerful broad-spectrum antimicrobial agent is harmless to friendly bacteria and has been concentrated to equal an astonishing 35 cloves of garlic in each vegetarian capsule. Think about it. the antibacterial, antiviral strength of 35 odorless cloves of garlic in just one capsule. Allicin C is so effective it even destroys superbug MRSA in test after test. Allicin C is truly an incredible advance in natural medicine, and with the threats of bacterial and viral diseases and pandemics growing, no home should be without it. Learn more and order Allicin C on the New Earth page at rinse.com. Oxygen. It's nature's oldest therapy and plays an essential role in destroying viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungus, and keeping the human body healthy and strong. Now, you can give your body and your immune system a mega boost of disease-fighting oxygen with all-natural Oxy-C. With so many people now leading a sedentary indoor lifestyle, most are in a chronic state of oxygen deprivation, which sets up a perfect environment for disease, general fatigue, and a host of other symptoms. Oxy-C is yours in simple, convenient capsules. Nothing to mix, nothing to hassle with. Take it with juice or water anytime. Feel a cold or flu approaching? Have no energy or spark anymore? Try all-natural Oxy-C and prepare to be amazed. Oxy-C is only available from New Earth Health Solutions at rinse.com. Look for the New Earth banner at rinse.com.
Liberty Coin and Precious Metals is one of the fastest growing gold sellers in the country. And as one of their customers, I know why. They simplify the process of buying coins and precious metals. No hidden fees, no hard sell, no mystery. Just great prices. In fact, some of the best in the nation. And they post their buy and sell prices on the web and in their stores. I value that transparency. And Liberty's experts took the time to get to know me and my investment needs. And they're serious about privacy. There are so many reasons I'm now a Liberty Coin and Precious Metals customer. But the most important is I trust Liberty. Call Liberty Coin and Precious Metals. 877-511-COIN. That's 877-511-COIN. Or on the web at libertycpm.com.
Liberty. There's no more flowers. There's no more spring. There's no more promises of golden wedding rings. I'd love to care enough to slam another door, and I would, but I don't feel that way anymore.
Well, good evening. Welcome back. This is Mike Harris on rinseradio.com, and today is Monday, January 6, 2014. My guest this evening is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Richard, welcome back.
Thank you. You bet.
Anyway, let's really give people something to think about, because this concept of hygiene changing, because if it just started to rain here in Oregon, you're up in Grants Pass, I'm further south, towards Ashland and down that way, and it's this concept of avoiding the rain and avoiding the outdoors.
Well, that's where if there's any particulate matter that's in the atmosphere, it's going to be snow and rain that brings it down to the earth. And where it falls on you, if you're out in it, make sure you have a hat so you can take the hat off rather than it going right directly into your brain. Well, common sense. It's particulate matter. The radioactivity it's going to be in the water shortly, but right now it's in the air. And what it's doing is it's falling to earth. And that's what rain and snow does.
Well, there's an interesting point there. We just have to live through this part of the cycle, because these radioactive materials are very heavy. Even though they may be very small nanoparticles, they're still heavier than other nanoparticles. So eventually they will, seek the lowest point possible. That's how gold is found in placer deposits and all that, because it's heavier than the surrounding rock. So eventually all this stuff is going to end up someplace very, very deep. But until then, we have to stay alive. So that's really, the set of issues. And, simple things like have dedicated clothes that are outdoor wear. Always wear a hat. Have a pair of shoes, and leave those clothes, change them before you come into the house, because they're going to be covered in particulates. And one of the first things you want to do when you get in is to shower off and not spread that particulate around your home, food preparation surfaces where you sleep, that type of stuff. We're going to have to rethink all of those.
Yeah, don't touch
habits.
your face. Don't pick your nose. Don't wipe your eyes.
Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, that's the deal. It's going to be a whole new concept in hygiene.
Well, it's something that the people need to adjust to how they think, or they're going to perish. And that's just, if this Fukushima thing is as bad as it might be, because nobody really knows. Nobody really knows what's going on there. And until we get a handle on Fukushima, I will again advocate that we shut off all of the 450 nuclear reactors that are around the world.
That's the place to start. After that, then you can worry about cleanup. But basically, all the reactors, the 400 plus Daiichi-like reactors that are around the world, all of them are older than 20 years old, and they're all now...
They're all leaking. To talk about Hanford, talk about the fish up in the Columbia River and all that.
Well, that's what, everybody's saying that the kill-off of the shellfish and things like that was from Fukushima, when, in fact, no, it was worse. It was from closer home.
Well, let me ask you a hypothetical question, because this just came to me. Was Fukushima mismanaged intentionally to make it a masking event to mask the leakage that's going on globally with all these other 450 nuclear reactors to keep them still running?
That's just insane. I don't think so, no. I think it was a natural event waiting to happen with a house of cards.
Well, it's a question that needs to be asked, and that's why I asked it.
Whether it was manipulated by aliens or God or lesser gods, whatever, I don't know about that. What I do know is while all of this fear is going on with Fukushima, quietly behind the scenes, there is a basic transnational corporations that are trying to usurp the sovereignty of countries. And they're doing that right now today, and they just say no to these transnational corporations having laws and being able to change the laws.
Well, 80% of the global commerce is controlled by 147 interconnected banking firms.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No, there's the study is out. There's a Cornell study. I can produce it, but the trouble is that with that concentration of wealth and power, if there is some black swan event, their whole house of cards can come down. And I would really welcome a black swan, because I would like to break that grip on the global economy.
Well, it's a double-edged sword.
It is, and you know what? I think we need to reinvent our business model. I don't think we can afford to be a consumer-oriented model. I think we need to
Well, that part's going to fall apart at the seams shortly anyway.
We need to...
By the way, I just wanted to remind you about ISON's old debris trail that we will be going through January 15th. That ought to be quite a show.
Okay, well, I've got people who are working to try to use space weather to clear the debris field, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah, well, that debris field has several chunks in it that are called city killers. And nobody knows, except that all my buddies at JPL have their bug-out bags going. That's a fact. Nobody has a clue how bad that debris trail. The ISON was breaking apart. It had like 3 different trails going into the sun and was leaving big chunks behind itself, so that when it came around the other side, it fell back into the sun. It was already broken apart. Mostly ice.
Well, first of all, I'm one that always advocates that everyone be prepared all the time. So if you don't have a bug-out bag in your car, get one. Have one, and have a plan. Find out if communications goes down, know where to meet your wife, know where to find your kids.
Have that kind of a plan.
And have that anyway. That should be part of your standard operating procedure. Every family should have that all the time, so that you've got rendezvous points pre-identified in the event of, if you'll fill in the blank, insert, event here. But, Richard, let's take a minute, because we're going to be getting short on time here. And, you make your living by writing. And so I want to drive people to your website so they can look over the vast amount of books you've written and understand. I mean, you've got books on, the aphrodisiac that are there. You've got books on the magical power of perfume. You've got all sorts of things. Books
that magical and ritual use of verbs book, when I wrote that, why I wrote that, I was military, I was the first chemistry on herbs, was to keep those 28 herbs out of the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. And so, that's a fact. Once I signed rituals, they became sacraments. And that's why peyote and all these others are legal.
Well, that's something else. I look at 1970 when they put the Drug Enforcement Act of 1970 in place, and they created that whole controlled, scheduled.
It was in 74, and actually that's why I wrote it. It was the 74, and that's why the FDA could never get those 28 herbs, and that's coconut and guarana and.
Well, what they should do is call those laws, the Drug Control Act of 1970 and the one of 1974 should be called the Price Protection Act for the drug cartels.
Well, I don't know about that part. What I do know is that they were native plants, and because they're native plants, they grow anywhere, like crabgrass for dimethyltryptamine. I find it very interesting that very strange and rare neurotransmitter N-N-dimethyltryptamine is found in the most commonest of plants, crabgrass. It's almost as if that's a direct line to God, like like that's how you talk to God is with DMT. That's the Rick Strassman one that gives you a sense of something more. There are 8 different neurologic circuits. I'm writing now around those codes. That's how I train my Navy SEALs.
Well, let me ask you a to
Yeah.
Where can people find access to your books? Because
it's oak-publishing.com. Oak Publishing. It's oak-publishing.com.
And how many books do you have in your portfolio?
More than on the website. And actually, I'm going to have 10 new titles out this next year because I have a patron. These are things I'm written in Pantheon. Will sequel The Modern Alchemist. There'll be 2 more on the Encyclopedia of Alternative Agriculture. Because these are all written. I wrote these 20 years ago. And and I'm going to also have the 3rd book out this year, which will be The Non-Local Mind in a Holographic Universe. That will cap off Power Tools for the 21st Century, which just came out with the workbook. Those are the hot ones right now. ESP, through forms of self-hypnosis. That's the first in the series that was used as the first protocol trained in Navy SEALs. We wanted intuition as number 1, not strength or knowledge. We wanted intuition, making right decisions from the gut.
Well, you and I have talked about this personally, and that's why earlier in the show I said, people, you have to learn to discern, because there's some very clever people out there. But when something is true, it resonates. Resonates with you, and you will recognize it.
You got it. Yeah, it's and that's everybody's got it. Basically, you have conflict. That's because you're possessed. That means more than one God's working through you. And basically, is metaphor. You've got different reasons why you want to do this and not do that. You're at war with yourself. And that's why the internal dialogue and setting up internal landscapes allow for realities to happen or not. And that's the next level above IQ, is called EQ. And why your higher self talks to you in emotions.
Because emotion is more information dense than intellect.
That's correct. It's the same. It's intellect with more data.
And that's why when people get emotional, they react so strongly to it, because it's more data, it's more intensely packed, and it's hard for us mere humans to process that much data, but somehow we manage. Well, Richard, I hear our music coming up. Any closing comments? We've got about 45 seconds to go.
No, I'm good, Michael. It was a pleasure to work with you this morning and now tonight.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening, everyone, and stay out of the rain. I'll be back tomorrow night, and everybody, may this be your best year yet. Let's make 2014 something that matters, and let's take our own destiny into our own hands, and let's change the world for the positive, okay? That's my New Year's resolution. Rick, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.
After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really don't mind what happens now and then, as long as you'll be my friend at the end. If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive, then will you be there holding my hand? I'll keep you by my side with my superhuman might, kryptonite.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Known worldwide as the most consistently fascinating, informative, and unique program on radio, the Jeff Rense program can be yours to listen to anytime, anywhere, whenever you want to hear it. For pennies a day, our subscribers can download any of Jeff's thousands of programs featuring a treasury of newsmakers, researchers, eyewitnesses, and incredible subjects, all in MP3 commercial-free, crystal-clear 56-bit digital sound, and take these often unforgettable programs with them wherever they go. As a subscriber, you can also listen live at airtime, online, anywhere in the world, or browse through our archives of over 10,000 hours of legendary broadcasts. Subscribe now by taking the link at the top of Rense.com and enrich your mind.